Good morning, everybody. I'm out here working on the 1999 Cavalier. We have a blown out power steering line, which on most cars would be quite easy. And one end of this is easy. It's right here, easy to access, but the other one is buried way down on the rack and pinion unit. As you see, there's a bunch of things in the way. You cannot access it from the bottom at all. So what I'm going to end up doing here, and I already started taking things loose, I have to take the ABS brake lines off, all 4 brake lines. I already dismounted the master cylinder bracket off the power brake unit, and then I'll be able to lift this thing out of the way. And then I have to take that power brake diaphragm unit off from the inside of the car, which is not fun laying upside down. And then I can get my arms down there on the darn power steering line that goes in the rack and pinion. What a bunch of crock of shit, I tell you. Such a simple little job turns into a project. Anyways, that's what I have to do, so I'm going to get on it. All right, now I took the ABS unit off, 4 brake lines, and a electrical connector here, okay? And now, look here, I have room to get my hand and a wrench down in there on that power steering hose, which is the farther inner one. And I was able to get this line wrench actually way down in there on it. I had to finagle it and get it on there, make sure to get it on there square and tight, and I pushed on that sucker. It was really tight. I cut my hand on the power brake unit, so be careful. You might want to wear leather gloves when you do that, but I got it loose. So now the rest should be a breeze. We'll see. I'm going to just unthread that thing and put the new hose on and tighten it in. See it way down there? Not fun. Alrighty, I finally got this pressure line in here. If you see way down in there, and it was a bitch, because you know, if you ever put a power steering line on or a hydraulic line, if it doesn't go in perfectly straight, you're gonna strip the threads. And I had a hell of a time getting it in there perfectly straight. I actually had to lay up on top of the motor and put one arm back around the manifold and down underneath, and the other arm down here, and get it started. It took me, shit, almost an hour to get that thing started. I got it cross-threaded one time and I took it back out, and lucky for me, that sucker went in. And this other end is actually very easy. That went on. Piece of cake. Okay, I filled up the reservoir all the way to the top, and I'm going to let this thing sit overnight and make sure there's no leaks before I button up that whole brake unit and everything over there. And here is the old line. It had like a little hairline, little crack in there, but that's a high pressure line, and it was squirting out pretty heavily. And this is the ABS unit. I'm going to set it just like that so the fluid doesn't drip out. And of course, we're going to have to bleed all 4 of those lines, and there's a couple little bleeder fittings on the front to bleed the top electronics out of it. But shit, what a bitch. But I think I got the hard part done. Tomorrow I will button it up. Alrighty, well, I have this project all finished here. We have our power brake unit, our master cylinder, and our ABS unit on. And just a little tip in case you folks aren't familiar or newbies at putting brake parts on. Okay, you have 2 main mount bolts on the power brake unit for the master cylinder and ABS unit are attached together. But whether you're just changing a master cylinder or the whole thing, the best way to do it is to put the unit on, start the bolts, don't tighten the bolts. And then when you're going to put these little threaded brake lines on, you could wiggle the unit around or whatever and maneuver it to start the threads. Otherwise, you're stuck with a rigid unit there, and sometimes it's really hard to start the threads on those lines. So just keep it loose, start all your lines, get them all screwed in there and snugged a little bit, and then tighten that and tighten that. Then you're going to have to go through and have somebody in the car. And I just loosened each one of these and have the person inside the car push the brake pedal down a half a way down, and then close them all, let off the brake pedal, Wait a minute. Loosen all these again. Half of the way down on the brake pedal until you get some fluid coming out of here and no air. Button them all up there, and then do the same thing on these two bleeder screws. Open both the bleeder screws, half a pump down, lock them down tight, pedal up, open them again, half a pedal down, lock them up, let it off, pump, 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 pump. You got a hard pedal, you're done, okay? And that worked here. I didn't have to bleed all the wheels. So we're all done. We have no leaks, no power steering leaks. I also put a valve cover gasket on there. You can see my high temp silicone around there. So this motor should be good to go for a while. Alrighty folks, I hope you learned a couple little something. That's a trick to put a power steering hose on this damn Cavalier. But finally we got it all done. She's ready for the road again. 30 miles per gallon.